Welcome back to Imperium Gaming and this 5,000 point game of Warhammer 40,000. This is the planet Belendor, recently come to light following the most recent schism in the warp. Forces of the Imperium have landed here, so the Ordo Malleus has been dispatched together with a mighty force to try and reclaim this world and understand what it is that's going on. They've made planetfall, and these are their initial defense lines. They have yet to be able to power up any of the equipment on site, so whilst this is a bastion, it has not got any weapons yet ready to shoot. Unknown to them, this is an ancient crone world of the Eldar. This tree here is the entrance to a large cavern underneath, in which the world spirit is housed. And feeling under threat, a psychic pulse has been submitted, and the Eldar are on their way to try and support. Now things are tough at the moment in the galaxy, so they've not been able to send one large force from one particular craft world, but a series of splinter forces are on their way, and they will be arriving soon. The Eldar will be deploying at this end of the table. A kill area has been cleared through here by the forces of the Imperium, but what they don't know, at the back of the battlefield here, what they think is just some old ruins is actually a dormant webway portal. And whilst this portal is small and can only take foot soldiers, Fuegan of the Burning Lance, together with his bodyguard of fire dragons and a couple of squads of dire avengers, are on their way through. They will be able to access this battlefield right deep within the defences of the Imperium from turn 2 onwards on a roll of a 3+. So let's have a look at the forces. So this is Andy, he's playing the forces of the Imperium. Tell us what you got.
Right, today's army is led by Inquisitor Kotiaz. He's at the head of a battalion detachment. The other HQ choice in that battalion is Inquisitor Karamazov. Kotiaz has brought a little acolyte squad, 6 guys with plasma guns, 1 melter, and a Jakero weaponsmith. He's requisitioned the Adeptus Custodes to assist him. 3 squads of custodian guards, 2 venerable land raiders, and 2 venerable contemptor dreadnoughts. We've got another battalion detachment of Militarum Tempestus, led by a Lord Commissar. He's got a couple of subordinate standard commissars, 2 Tempesta Primes for issuing orders out to the guys. There's a couple of command squads, a couple of Scion squads. They're all mounted in their fast vehicles. Couple of grav shooting squads of Scions to try and put a little bit of melter love in the backfield, and Imperial Navy Valkyrie to give us a little bit of air cover. Also, we've got a Vanguard detachment led by Inquisitor Greyfax. She's heading up the Sisters of Silence, which is a 10-man Vigilator squad with a Null Maiden Rhino, a 5-man Prosecutor squad with a Rhino, and 10-man Witch Seekers with a Rhino.
Is that all flamers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They've also brought along a Vindicare Assassin just to back them up for a bit of long-range character shooting. And then a super heavy auxiliary detachment in the form of a Knight Crusader.
Wow, and that's 5,000 points.
Absolutely, 5,000 points on the money.
And how many command points does this give you?
Right, command points is a total of 10. Power level is 251.
Okay, let's have a look at the Eldar forces then. So this is 5,000 points of Eldar, and the army today is led by an Autarch Skyrunner with a laser lance. Other HQ options, we have this dude here, another Autarch, and we have a Farseer. Supporting them, we also have Fuegan of the Burning Lance, the Phoenix Lord, together with a squad of Fire Dragons and 2 squads of Dire Avengers. This makes up a brigade detachment. We have in troops, we have a further 4 squads of 5 Rangers. So also in the brigade detachment, we have a squad of 5 Wraith Guard with the D-sides, a squad of 10 with Wraith Cannons, and a further squad of 5 Wraith Blades with the Force Axe and, well, not Force Axe, can't remember what it's called, Ghost Axe, and with the Invulnerable save. They have a Wave Serpent to ride in. They're also supported by a squad of 10 Howling Banshees, also with a Wave Serpent. And then to put a little bit of extra punch, we have 5 Dire Avengers. Dark Reapers even, thank you. Then there's a squad of 3 Warwalkers, a couple of Wraith Lords, a bit more high toughness punch if I can get them in. And then talking of high toughness punch, we have a Scathach Wraith Knight. So the air wing that we have today is made up of a Hemlock Wraith Fighter, a Phoenix Bomber and a Crimson Hunter. So all together, when you throw in the 3 units of jet bikes, 2 of which have got 3 scatter lasers, 1 of which has got 1 shuriken cannon and 2 shuriken catapults, that is 5,000 points worth of Eldar. These are 4995, so 5 points short and 242 power level. As a brigade detachment, giving us 9 command points, and the air wing a further 1 plus the 3 for being battle forged, that's 13 command points to play with. The interesting thing in this game today is that of course we're not using anything that's got the new codexes, so we've got no additional stratagems to use on either side, so it should be a fair fight, I hope. So in this bespoke special rules mission, the deployment zone for the Imperium is up to the line with the Aegis defence line, and the deployment zone for the Eldar is up to the tree line here. So the other special rules for this game, we've already talked about the webway portal and the access for there, but this here is a psychic nodal point. It's almost a focus, if you like. So any Eldar psychers within 12 inches of it get to cook off their psychic powers at 1 point easier, and deny is also 1 point easier, and any Imperium psychers have a -1. Now at the end of this game, whoever's controlling this tree, so within 3 inches of it, is going to score an additional 5 victory points. Now for the rest of the game, we do have Slay the Warlord, there's no line breaker, there's no behind enemy lines, but there is kill points. So every unit is worth 1 kill point, with one exception. These units here, who have got the ability to cheat, if you like, and come on right in amongst the Imperium's lines, they're worth 2 victory points each if they use that mode of entry. So that's going to be up to the Eldar player to decide, is it worth the benefit of being in and amongst the Imperium, because they could give away additional victory points. Let's see what happens then. Let's get the deployment done. The Imperium forces will deploy everything first, and then the Eldar will follow. It's then going to be a straight roll of the die to see who gets to go first. So here we are after deployment, and there's a very large line of tanks right the way across the front line. I think Kotiaz must have known that we were coming, so he's deployed accordingly. On the other side of the table, we have the Eldar forces deployed and ready to move forward. I've decided to keep the units in reserve that will come on through the webway portal, but I want to try and secure it. So using their concealed positions, there's 3 units of Rangers that have positioned at the back to try and hold the webway portal. They may die, they may not, we shall see. So we mentioned earlier in this game it's a straight roll of the dice to see who gets to go first, but of course we've both got a lot of command points to burn. So let's roll to see who gets to choose. So I've rolled a 6, My opponent has rolled a 5. Do you want to re-roll that one, or do you want to save your re-roll for when you try and steal the initiative?
I'll save it for the initiative steal.
Okay then, well, crack on. Can you steal the initiative? No.
I will burn a command point to have another go.
Go on then.
All the tension. No.
No. So, Eldar, turn 1. So at the end of turn 1 movement phase for the Aeldari, we've moved forward with the flyers. The Crimson Hunter Exarch is looking to try and deal with this horrible Valkyrie. Is it Valkyrie or Vendetta? Valkyrie?
Valkyrie.
Alright, so we're going to try and deal with that. The Hemlock has moved across to here, supported by the Phoenix Bomber. And we've got a whole line of fast moving Eldar that have moved forward. We know that none of these are in range yet, but next turn they should be. We should be able to bring the power of the Wraith Host to bear. No movement with the Rangers down here. Likewise with the Dark Reapers. But everything else is just generally pushed forward towards this line of green and gold. So my plan is I'm going to try and sweep from this end down through the battlefield to destroy some of the softer, squishier stuff until we reach the Knight and these horrible custodians that are inside these vehicles. The only thing I have to contend with sat inside this building is another squad of custodians, so they're going to just sweep out of the building at some point and muller whatever I've got on the battlefield. But that's where we are at the end of the movement phase. One thing to note, the Warwalkers use their scout ability, so they're right up forward. They're going to try and pull off a charge in a minute on one of these Taurox primes. So let's go straight into, there's a very small psychic phase, and see what we can do. So that's the end of turn 1 psychic phase for the Aeldari, and the Hemlock Fighter has put Conceal in, and the Farseer here has taken a wound because I managed to roll a 12 and I perils. I saved one with my Ghost Helm, but I have put in Fortune onto the Wraith Knight, and I've put Guide onto the Dark Reapers. So that's it for psychics. Let's try and shoot some of this green and gold ceramite armoured nasties that are in front of me. Okay, so that's the end of the shooting phase. Before we do the results of that, one quick thing. You'll notice that the Warwalkers are gone. They haven't been killed. That was a cock-up on my part. They were in my original army list, and they're not actually in this 5,000 points list. So we ummed and ahed. Did we want to boost up some of the points on the Imperium forces? But it was easier just to remove them and chalk it down to over-enthusiasm on my part. But anyway, so moving on. Shooting, I think, has been not as successful as I would like it to be. My opponent thinks it's been pretty successful, so we'll see. The Valkyrie has been hit and taken down to 2 wounds, and the Taurox here is down to 6. I've managed to drag this Contemptor down to 3, but I have nerfed the Knight a little bit, and he is down on 10 wounds remaining. But that is the end of my shooting, and there are no boots on the ground yet for the forces of the Imperium. I'm told that that is about to change. I'm pretty worried about what's going to be coming back to me, but anyway, that's the end of turn 1 first half. Let's go straight into forces of the Imperium turn 1. So here we are at the end of the movement phase for the forces of the Imperium, and things have changed. There are an awful lot of boots on the ground. We have Militarum Tempestus everywhere here, supported with Inquisitor Greyfax down there. We have in the backfield, dropped in, I'm guessing to deal with the Dark Reapers, 2 squads of grav shooting guys. Is that melter guns?
Yeah, 4 of them.
Bugger, don't like that. And then we've got custodians out on the floor, ready to shoot. Another squad moving forward to deal with these jet bikes. And then in the backfield, more custodians that have come out of this building, and they're going to look to deal with some of, if not all of these rangers. And is Kotiaz in there?
He's around the corner.
Ah, so Kotiaz is down here behind this building, together with his acolytes there, and the Valkyries moved across before it gets shot out of the sky. So a lot has changed. A lot of vehicles haven't moved, but it's the contents that have come out. So let's go straight now into the psychic phase of turn 1 for the forces of the Imperium. So in the psychic phase, Inquisitor Greyfax, who is positioned here, is trying to use Dominate to take over the pulse laser on the Crimson Hunter Exarch. So
this is a 7 charge.
So she's got it in with 8. I've got the Hemlock Fighter nearby, so I'm going to try and deny it. I've denied it on a 10. That's good, because that would have been yes, that would have been an ass biscuit. That would have been a heavy 2 at strength 8, AP -3, hitting on 2s and re-rolling 1s. So I'm glad that that's been stopped. Let's carry on with the psychics. So the only other psychic power was Kotias down here, did a smite, and this was the closest unit here, and he killed 3 of those rangers. So that's the end of turn 1 shooting, and what a shooting phase that's been. We have 1 squad of rangers completely gone, 1 down to 2 ready to be assaulted, and 1 down to 1 lone remaining guy. Hopefully he can pass his morale, but we shall see. We have the Hemlock has been taken down to 8 wounds, nothing fired at the Phoenix bomber, but we've got a squad of bikers that are completely shot out. We have another squad of bikers completely shot out. We have another squad of bikers down to 1, about to be charged, looks like about a 4 or 5 inch charge. And then the Dark Reapers were very lucky, because they're in the cover, it managed to save them. There's only 3 left, however, so they will auto pass morale. But big news, down to 8 wounds on the Scathatch Wraith Knight, so he has been damaged significantly. So that's the end of shooting. Let's see what happens as we go into assault, because there are at least 1 or 2 assaults to come. So at the end of the charge phase, these guys comfortably made it in. I understand they're looking to kill the 2 guys, and then they're going to try and surround the portal to stop me bringing on reserves. That's a bit sneaky. Then over here, 1 squad has charged in onto the Warlord, who was already down on 2 wounds from a crafty shot from the Vindicare. And then the Contemptor managed, using a command point, to make a massive charge through to reach the Wave Serpent here. And then this squad have moved forward and charged the Wave Serpent. And then the final assault over here, as expected, they made it in. So there's going to be even more damage done to the Eldar by the end of this phase. And then saving the best for last, we have both squads here are going to try and charge in onto the Dark Reapers. So the first squad...
Do you want to do your Overwatch?
I'll do the Overwatch afterwards, because I'm not going to be able to kill you. So 7. Let's see if that gets you in.
It's not, because I'm 9 inches away.
So you needed a 9. And the other squad?
No.
5. No, so they don't make it in.
But
I will do my Overwatch. We'll do that off camera, and then we'll come back and go straight into the fight phase. Alright, so very quickly, we've done the Overwatch, and we've taken some casualties. So let's just put things into perspective. That's the actual casualties on the forces of the Imperium. Yes, I've eroded a lot of vehicles, but that's the actual casualties. And the Eldar, even before we do the fight phase, is that lot. Right,
The
let's
Emperor
fight.
protects.
No, he doesn't protect. He's dead. Right, let's do some fighting. So just cutting across, we've just had 3 wounds done to the 2 wound Warlord. So let's see if we can save him on 3 ups. So he's down to 1 wound. Okay, that's not bad for a bunch of little guys. So that's the end of turn 2. As expected, they have surrounded the webway portal. So I need to deal with those to be able to bring on all of these guys. Okay. Over here, no damage done to the Warlord, but I killed 2 in return. And the Contemptor managed to hit 3 times. Only needed 2s to wound and rolled 3 1s, so that was a bit of luck. And no damage done here. We've done the morale phase already, and there have been no further casualties. So that is the end of turn 1. Let's go straight into turn 2, where we've got some guys, some close combat monsters to get out of both of these vehicles. Let's go on movement. So at the end of the movement phase, turn 2 for the Aeldari, the Phoenix has moved across and swiveled. I'm going to try and hurt these guys if I can. Crimson Hunter has moved across here, and the Hemlock is here. And Both of the wave serpents have moved back, but not until their contents have jumped out. So we have a unit of 10 howling banshees going to try and deal with this squad. We have these guys have moved across, and the contents were 5 wraith blades who have jumped out. I'm going to try and kill him because I don't like orders, so I'm going to kill him, and maybe that vehicle as well, and maybe that commissar. We'll see. And then moving across here. Move the Wraith Guard forward to try and get within range of shooting this Contemptor here. The Scathach, before he dies, is moving forward. I need to get him into a position where if he does go ballistic and blow up, he does lots of damage to the enemy, not to me. And other than that, it's only just been a bit of repositioning, ready to shoot. So before we get to that, let's go to the Psychic phase. So ended the Psychic phase. One of the reasons this thing is still alive was I managed to put Fortune on it last turn. I've just put Fortune on it again, but I made a mistake. I moved forward within 24 inches of Greyfax and she nulled it and stopped it, which is very frustrating. I've then tried to put Guide in on the Wraith Guard and I have been successful. She tried to stop it again, but even with the use of a command point it still happened. So that is it for the limited Psychic phase. I did get Conceal in on the Hemlock, but now it's over to shooting.
This time we'll try.
So just interrupting the shooting phase, I just managed to destroy the Contemptor and it went boom. And we've got the Commissar and the Tempesta Prime on 1 wound. 2 guys went from this squad, 1 guy from the Howling, and 1 wound done to the Wave Serpent, and then Andy rolled really well and got 3 wounds on this squad and this squad. So that takes a model out of each one. So that's a good way to go, I guess. So at the end of the shooting phase, tried to finish off one of these Tempesta Primes with some snappy shooting from the Rangers here, but did nothing. Dark Reapers had a better result back here. The Exarch shot across and killed the other squad, and I killed 1 more guy from this squad of 2. That's still 2 melter guns sat behind my lines. Not too happy about that. Finished off the other Contemptor. That was the Wraith Guards, did a huge amount of wounds. And I've managed to whittle these guys down to 3 guys, 1 of which is on 1 wound. So that is the end of the shooting phase, but I've got quite a few assaults to do. So let's go to the charge phase now. So that was a successful charge phase. Obviously I've made it in here. I've multi-assaulted these 2 and the vehicle. The Wraith Guard have made it into the Prosecutors. The Wraith Lord to these 2. The Scathach has come across to here, and the Wraith Lord into there. The only other thing I ever tried but failed was I tried to bring the Rangers back to deal with these 2 melter guns in the backfield. But that's it for charges. Let's now resolve some fights. So we're halfway through the fight phase, and the Scathach Wraith Knight went first, and he hit 4 times using his Titanic feat, wounded 4 times, and then they tanked all 4 on the Storm Shields. So now the Imperium forces have used 2 command points to interrupt the fight, and we've moved across here where the Custodians here are going to try and hurt this Wraith Lord before he attacks. Let's see what we've got.
So this is for 2s to hit.
2s to hit. It's not a bad mix of hits.
It's strength 6 because of the Guardian
Okay, so
Spears.
5s to wound.
Ooh.
Just the 1.
I'm going to use a command point.
Yeah, which
to
you can
reroll
do.
one of these.
Yeah. That's cocked. No, so just the 1. And is it AP minus
AP
anything?
minus 3.
So AP minus 3, so I'm looking for a 6-up save. No, not made.
It does 3 wounds.
3 wounds. Okay, so that's not going to degrade me, but that is going to still be pretty nasty. So now I've got 3 attacks back. Can't see what that one is. Hit with 2. It's strength 7.
Toughness 5.
So that's 3s to wound. So 2 wounds. This is AP minus 3.
So 5 up in run. So for the first one,
that's 1 dead.
so that's finished that guy.
3 wounds. And he saved the other one.
The Emperor protects.
It does seem like he might do after all. Corpse Emperor. So at the end of the assault phase, there's 1 lone chap keeping alive here and tying up the Howling Banshees. killed both of the commanders here and dragged this vehicle down to 1 wound. I'd wanted to kill it, but hey, I'm okay. I'm locked in combat for now, although obviously you can withdraw. Yeah, I actually took a wound in close combat and did nothing out. That's a bit disappointing, but shit happens, doesn't it? And here, believe it or not, this super strong ghost glaive wielding Wraith Lord did no damage whatsoever to the 2 guys, and in return they did nothing. And then the only other thing that we've got to do, which we'll do on camera now, is the fight backs for the custodians. So there's 2 guys with the spears. How many attacks do they get then, bruv?
3 attacks each.
So 6 attacks onto...
2's to hit.
So that's all hits.
These guys are strength 6.
So toughness 8, so 5's to wound. So just for 1.
AP minus 3.
So that's a 5 up save. No, so that's how many wounds?
Just 1.
1 wound, so he's down to 7.
You've still got your fortune.
No, I didn't get the fortune in this time.
The sentinel blades. Same again, 2's to hit.
So that's a good number. What's that, 9 hits?
Reasonable, yeah. But needing 5s again. Oh,
so just
terrible.
for 1. And then AP minus
3.
Minus 3. Okay, so 6 up save. No. And
2 wounds.
2 wounds. So he's down to 5 wounds. That's not so good, but still alive. Still alive. Over to turn 2 for the forces of the Imperium. So end of the movement phase. We've fallen back out of combat here and here. Lots of movement around, looking to put as much hurt down as they possibly can. This squad have jumped out of this vehicle, moved forward, got these in support, and the Imperial Knights come busting over the top. Land Raider over here, he's got a good range of fire. He's supported by Karamazov around the corner. Bit of movement from this one, and this large squad have jumped out of this vehicle with a view to flaming the Crimson Hunter. And here they're still trying to block off the entrance. We'll see if it's enough. So that's the end of the movement phase. Let's go to Psychics. So at the end of the Psychic phase, I managed to stifle Psychics here with a Smite. I managed to stifle, dominate, and he wanted to take control of the Crimson Hunter. So instead he smited it for 3 wounds instead. Not so very pleasant at all. But that's the end of the Psychic phase. Now we have some shooting. So at the end of an horrific shooting phase, the Crimson Hunter got blasted out of the sky, exploded, and killed a couple guys from here, killed the ranger that was here, killed a couple of the acolytes, and then they dived in front of a load of the mortal wounds to save Kotiaz, which is a rule that they've got. Then a lot of shooting has come up here. The Hemlock is on 2 wounds. Some of that was done by Greyfax using her Condemner bolt gun, and because this thing's a psyker, she managed to do 3 wounds to it, I think. Then some damage, incidental damage done to the Wraith here, but there's only 2 Wraith Guard left here, which is pretty disappointing. Pistol shots and stuff came in, but the Wraith Knight remains on 5 wounds. And then the shot of the match, the Vindicare Assassin here took aim, shot down through, picked out the Farseer here who was on 5 wounds, rolled a 6 to wound, and then did 5 wounds, shot her out with 1 shot. That was not nice. No more fortune, no more guide. And that is the end of the shooting phase for the forces of the Imperium. I'm guessing there's going to be some charges. We'll see. So at the end of the charge phase, this command squad here have made a brave charge into here. I understand why they've done it. They're hoping that at least one can survive and keep them tied up, but we'll see. The Sisters of Silence with the great swords have charged in and reached here. Unfortunately, the Imperial Knight made it in. I did manage to hit with an Overwatch with the Wraith Cannon and then rolled a 2 for the wound, so that was a little bit disappointing. So that's the end of the charge phase. Let's see what happens as the fights are resolved. So over here, the Imperial Knight whiffed when he charged in. However, I lost so many models, I took 3 mortal wounds, so I have 1 guy left on 1 single wound. No damage done to the Autarch, so that was good. Here, the girls with the swords came in and did practically nothing. And then these ones here hit me with their bolt guns and killed an entire model. So getting whittled down, still alive though. And here, the gamble paid off. I only managed to kill one guy within that squad of 4, so they are now locked up. And in return they did a wound, so that's it. And the only other thing that happened, the Scathach was cut down before I had a chance to do anything, and then in return the Wraith Lord cut down the 2 guys in front of him. So that is the end of the assault phase. Other than we've got a small fight with the Reapers here, which we're going to conduct on camera now. So we have 2 guys who moved in. So that's misses.
Yep.
So I've got attacks back. I've got a total of 4 attacks. Hitting on... Well, let me just check what I need to hit. I'm not quite sure. Bear with me a second. I'll come straight back. Sorry guys, a bit of a chuckle there because my brother just dropped the most humongous fart. Anyway, so they are 3s to hit. So we've hit 3 times. And then 4s to wound because of strength 3. So no wounds done. So that is just a bounce, bounce, bounce. Still ties them up though. Alright, so that is now the end of this turn. Let's move on to turn 3 for the Aeldari. So at the end of turn 3 movement phase for the Aeldari, I've had to reposition considerably. So I need to get in, I need to reduce the amount of guys who are hacking into me here. So the Howling Banshees have moved across. The Autarch from here has fallen back to here, so at least he's going to give his reroll 1 bubble. The other Autarch on 1 wound has moved to here. The Wave Serpents have moved forward because I need my options open for shooting. I may need to fire into there. I also need to shoot up and deal with this pesky Vindicator because he's really frustrating. The Phoenix has moved across to here. He can still see these guys. He's going to try and shoot them out, and he's going to try and be helped by the Hemlock. If I can just kill a couple more of those, he will not be able to stop my reinforcements coming on. And then finally over here, the Wraith Lord has moved around so he can decide which way he needs to shoot. This Knight is still on 10 wounds, so it's not going to be an easy kill. And the final thing, the Wraith Guard has fallen back, but he will be able to shoot. That's one of the special rules that they've got. So that's it for movement. I have 1 psychic still, so I will move to the psychic phase now and decide what I need to do. And at the end of the psychic phase, I managed to do conceal on a 9, and then Kotiaz blocked it on a 10. So pretty ineffective.
The Emperor protects.
Yeah, I'm fed up with this Corpse Emperor on his golden throne. But I have to admit, I feel he is definitely getting the better of me here. But let's do some shooting, see if I can maybe hurt a few things. It'd be nice if I can. Let's give it a go. So that's the end of the shooting phase. It's gone a little bit better now. I've managed to finally finish off this 1 Taurox that was here. And I killed a few of these girls here by using my pistols. And I also blew both Serpent Shields, and unfortunately I was trying to do 3 wounds to kill this squad of 3, which would allow these guys to then charge on to the next target. I rolled a 1. So I used this one to try and weaken this squad before the Howling Banshees move in. I rolled a 1. But then I did fire all the scatter lasers across after the Wraith Lord did bugger all, and I managed to bring this guy down to 6 wounds. And then over here, the Hemlock and the Phoenix have managed to clear that squad. So next turn, I might, if I roll well enough, get some reserves to come on, because I don't think that they're going to be able to stop me again. But we'll see. But we do have some charges to do. So let's move straight on into the charge phase. So that's the end of the charge phase. And whilst it's been 100% successful, in that this Autarch, even though he's on 1 wound, has managed to charge into here. The Howling Banshees are into here. The Rangers have joined the fight over here, and the Wraith Lord has made it into the Imperial Knight. Where it's been less successful, he took 6 wounds to Overwatch. He's on 1 wound remaining. He needs to do something when it comes to resolving the fights, because that was a heavy price to pay. So let's get straight to it and see if we can kill some Imperium forces. Well, that's the end of the assault phase, and it's a funny old game this. So very successful here. Managed to kill those guys off and then consolidate into this vehicle, so that's going to stop it from shooting. And then I managed to kill all of that squad and all bar 2 of the other Sisters of Silence. So I consolidated into that vehicle as well. Over here, not so good. So the Knight's on 3 wounds because I managed to hit him once with my fists before he fisted me back and stomped all over me and made a squashy mess of some Wraith bone. And then over here, despite having the weight of numbers, no wounds done to the Imperium and none done back either. So that is the end of my turn 3. It's now over to the Imperium for their half of the turn. So that's the end of the movement phase for the forces of the Imperium. This Rhino moved across to try and block off, and they tried a crafty advance move around, because if he'd rolled a high enough number it would have stopped me coming on. No, my luck, I won't roll for any of the reserves now, but hey, that's how it works. We have the Chimera underneath the building here as well. They're clearly going to try and kill the Hemlock. These chaps are now within range to use their flamers, but outside of the range if it goes pop. So that's cool. Around here, both this Taurox and this Taurox have backed out of combat to allow everyone to shoot at the Warlord here. And one Rhino's moved forward to support. And this squad have moved forward. They've got pistols, so they're going to try and kill the Howling Banshees before the charge. And then we have the Custodian Guard, supported by the Imperial Knight, and then backed up by the Land Raider and Inquisitor Karamazov. So it's looking grim still. Still a bit hopeful, but it's not looking great. And we've got the Land Raider here, of course, is still sat on almost full wounds with a lot of shooting. So that's it. That's it for movement. Let's see what happens as we go into psychics. Oh, of course, smite. Oh no.
Really? Oh, sorry.
I hadn't thought about that. Alright, okay. Psychic phase. So at the end of the psychic phase, they managed to pull off a smite, but only 1 wound. So the Hemlock is now on 1 wound remaining. He then managed to do dominate and fired the twin shuriken cannon down at this one lone Wraith Guard, but I managed to save. And then finally Inquisitor Greyfax smited the Warlord off the table with 3 wounds, and he only had 1 left. So that was pretty useful psychic phase. It's now over to do some shooting, and there's quite a lot of it still on this table. Okay, so we're almost finished in the shooting phase, and we're just doing the Vindicare. The Vindicare has rolled to hit, he's rolled to wound, and he's rolled a 6, so that's D6 wounds. He's only got 5 wounds left on this Autarch, which is the target. It's AP -3, and it ignores invulnerable save, so I've got a 6-up armour save to try and keep him definitely alive, subject to how much damage is done. There's the 6.
Oh, jammy kid.
We'll have that any day.
Would have been.
And it would have been 6 wounds. That would have been another character sniped out.
Headshot.
But it's not. Look, 6. So that comes to the end of the shooting phase. There's been quite a lot of damage done. The 1 remaining Wraith Guard is gone. A wound stripped off the Wave Serpent. I only have 1 Wraith Blade left. So it's not good. And the flyers are gone. No flyers left. That's worrying. So now we have the charge phase and the fight phase. Let's see what happens. So at the end of the charge phase, it's been quite significant. Whilst the Custodians didn't make it in and took no damage to Overwatch, the Imperial Knight is now in on the Wave Serpent. And then over here, the Tempestus Prime and the Tempestus guys, they're in fighting the Howling Banshees. And the Rhino charged along with the Commissar and Greyfax. So we have a fight to resolve. So at the end of the fight phase, this 1 lone Wraithblade is on 1 wound. Dished out a couple wounds back to Greyfax, but she's still alive. Managed to kill the sisters with the swords. So these 2 Wraithguard are now no longer in combat. But they stay locked. No need for morale tests. And over here I managed to kill the last 2 blokes. And then here the Imperial Knight managed to drag this one down to 6 wounds. So not bad fight phase. Now it's turn 4 for the Aeldari. So it's the end of turn 4 movement phase for the Aeldari, and the Wraith Blade has fallen out of combat and the Autarch has jumped across. He's going to try and kill Greyfax, as she's now the closest model. The 2 Wraith Guard have moved across, not sure where I'm going to shoot yet, haven't made my mind up. And these 2 are going to try and deal with this knight once and for all. Obviously these guys have stayed static because I want to shoot at full ballistic. But in other news, I've got Fuegan plus the Fire Dragons and 1 squad of Dire Avengers have walked through the webway portal. Let's see if I can hurt some of this stuff now. So no psychics, straight into shooting. So at the end of the shooting phase, I've managed to do 1 wound to Inquisitor Greyfax, a couple of wounds to one of the Custodians, and 1 wound only to the Imperial Knight. He is still rampaging through my lines. Okay, other than that, had some success over here, having destroyed 1 Rhino and the Chimera, and done 1 wound on this remaining Rhino. So that is the end of the shooting phase, but there are going to be some assaults. So there will be charges, there will be fights. Let's see what we can do. So we've managed to successfully charge the Rhino with everything here. Managed to get into Greyfax, and the Commissar has done a glorious intervention. And then the 2 Wraith Guard have charged into the Commissar Lord. And that was it for charges this turn. Let's now resolve the fights. So at the end of the fight phase, I bounced. No damage done here at all. We've got the cute puppy down here looking for attention.
Puppy.
And then over here, managed to kill Greyfax. Took no damage in return. 1 wound done to my Wraith Guard, but no damage done to the Commissar Lord. And I managed to kill the guys here, but the Tempesta Prime is still locked in combat with us. So that is the end of my turn 4. Now it's the bottom half of turn 4. So at the end of the Imperium's movement phase, there's a lot of falling back. This Rhino has fallen back, leaving these squads open for shooting. You can see that the Flamer dudes have come down. They're looking to try and put some hurt on the Fire Dragons, I'm guessing. And then over here, the Autarch is a little bit exposed. He might get arrested, but he's there. And all of these tanks can now shoot. We have the Custodian Guard, what left of them is now closing in. Don't fancy their chances. And that Knight, he's hanging on in there on 2 wounds. Probably going to do a number on this. And then finally, the existing Land Raider here with no damage taken, plus Karamazov, are coming around here. And that Land Raider is going to shoot as well. This could be a very painful turn for the Aeldari. Let's hope that the dice gods do not shine upon the Imperium. I forgot we still had a psychic phase, and he tried to dominate from Kotiaz down here. That failed, but then he did pull off a smite and smite one of the Fire Dragons out. Now it's shooting. So at the end of what was indeed a brutal turn of shooting, the Fire Dragons have been mowed down to the last man. Fuegan took a number of hits from the las cannons, but luckily managed to save, and then only took 2 wounds on one of them. Over here, they took a lot of shooting, but they managed to take down the 2 remaining Wraith Guard with the D-Scythes, and the Imperial Knight shot and destroyed the Wave Serpent that was here. Likewise, he shot back and killed a couple of guys from this squad. So that is the end of the shooting phase. Andy, do you have any charges?
Oh yeah, baby.
Right then, let's go into the charge phase. So at the end of the charge phase, Fuegan has come under fire, or under a charge from an awful lot of sisters. Then over here, both of the Tauraks have charged into the Autarch, and the Rhino is having a go here. He wants to just do that last 1 wound. The Imperial Knight attempted but failed to reach the Wave Serpent. Shut up, Django. That's the Old English underneath here. And Karamazov tried to do a 12-inch charge but failed. And then the Howling Banshees are under a little bit of fire here because the Custodians are in. So this is going to be potentially brutal again. Let's see what happens. Right then, so at the end of the assault phase, no damage done to Fuegan, and he cut 3 down in return. Over here, no damage done to either side. I managed to kill one of these before I was cut down, because he only had 1 wound left. And so then they did cut down the Howling Banshees. So that is the end of the fight, as no damage was done here. Apologies for the barking in the background. So that's it, let's go to turn 5 and what could be the final turn of the game. So that's the end of what was quite a short movement phase. Fuegan withdrew from combat. The Dire Avengers have moved across as a screen. I didn't manage to roll on the second squad, which is a bit frustrating, but never mind. Over here, the Autarch has stayed in combat because it means that these two won't get to... If I move out, they'll get to fire at full ballistics next turn, so I'm not giving them that for free. And then over here, the Wave Serpent has withdrawn. I'm going to have another go at trying to get these last 2 wounds off the knight. So that's it for movement, no psychics, straight into shooting. So I've managed to reduce these to 4. I would have liked to have reduced another couple out of them for when I charge, but that's the breaks. And over here, this indestructible knight is on 1 wound remaining. Couldn't quite take it down. Oh well. Assaults. So at the end of the charge and the fight phase, I made it into combat and then lost 1 and killed nothing. That was really frustrating, but managed to save morale. Over here, no damage dished out at all. Then the Wave Serpent tried a valiant charge to try and deal with that last 1 wound, and got knocked down to 8 wounds.
Does valiant mean it didn't make it but took damage on the way in?
Yeah, it doesn't quite mean that, but
thought it did.
but that's what happened. I tried, I failed, I tried, I failed. I got shot. So that's how it goes. So that's the end of the first half of turn 5. Now it's down to the forces of the Imperium. So as turn 5 second half movement phase ends, the Rhino has moved forward, Kotiaz and the Jakero have moved across, and the Commissar and the Commissar Lord are looking to join the fight. All the other vehicles have moved across because the eyes are still on the prize. This is the tree that will score a bonus 5 points. I think the game's in the bag anyway, but the forces of the Imperium really want to make it work. So the other bonus to this movement is all of these are now in range of these poor guys here. Days are looking numbered, guys. So a very brief psychic phase, and Kotiaz managed to pull off Smite, killing 2 of the Dire Avengers. Only 2 guys left. Shooting. So we're right at the end of the shooting phase, and with the psychic phase has already hurt the Dire Avengers. I've got hardly anything left. They've managed to shoot out all of the units back here, so that was the Dire Avenger Exarch and the Rangers. The Wave Serpent is gone. All that's left to shoot now is the Vindicare Assassin, and he's targeting Fuegan with the Burning Lance. So he's hitting on a 2. He's hit. He's wounding on a 2 because it's infantry.
Yep, but a 6 is D6 wounds instead of D3.
Now let's see, because this is the last 2 shots. He's rolled the 6 for this, and he's rolled it again.
This is AP -3.
I've not saved because I needed a 5, but only a single wound. So down to 3. No command points left to re-roll. Never mind. Still alive, just. Doesn't really feel like a victory though. So, at the thank you, bruv. At the end of the assault phase, believe it or not, these buggers killed all the remaining Dire Avengers, and that's annoyed me a little bit. And then over here, the Commissar cut down the Wraithblade, which has annoyed me a bit more. And then the Commissar Lord did 2 wounds to the Autarch, and I did 2 wounds back to him, but that's it. So on the table now, all I have left is the Autarch and Fuegan, and nothing else. I have a squad in reserve still, that if they don't come on and if the game ends are worth 2 kill points. So does it end? On a 1 or a 2 it ends. It carries on. So at the end of my movement phase, I did get the final squad on board. They're going to try and kill these last 3 girls here. Fuegan has moved across. He's going to try and shoot, and if not, assault and kill Kotiaz, and this guy stayed locked in combat because I'm going to try and kill that Commissar Lord. That would be an extra kill point. It's just for glory now and nothing more. So after shooting, the Dire Avengers did manage to kill this squad here. I fired up, hit and wounded Kotiaz, and he had a 6-up armor save with cover, and he made it. I hate him. And then here I managed to hit this guy with a shuriken pistol. Did it with the rend, so it was -3, and then he rolled his refractor field save, so it's not so good. So I do have some charges to make, because I'm going to try and charge this tank with the Dire Avengers, and I'm going to charge Kotiaz with Fuegan of the Burning Lance. So let's go straight on to charge phase. So at the end of the charge phase, I have made it in on the Rhino, and Fuegan has made it up to Kotiaz. So let's go straight into the attacks on Kotiaz. So Fuegan has 4 attacks. He's hitting on 2s. So he's hit with all of them. He is strength 5. Kotiaz is toughness 3. So wounding on a 3. So we've managed to get 3 wounds. It's AP -4. So
He's normally a 2-up armor, so
6 ups.
the Emperor protects.
So 2 6s made, but 1 does go through for D3 wounds. For 2 wounds, and that brings Kotiaz down to 2. So Kotiaz gets to hack back.
He gets 4 attacks, hitting on 3s.
So that's all 4 hits.
He's got a mastercrafted demon hammer, so he is strength 6.
So I'm toughness 4. So 3 wounds.
And this is AP -3, and each one does 3 damage.
Okay, so let's do my save. So I'm a base 2, so up to a 5-up save. I've saved 1.
So that's 6 wounds.
And it's just straight 3.
3, because it's mastercrafted.
I'm on 3 wounds. Fuegan is dead. Let's just carry on and we'll finish the other fights off of camera. So following that disaster over here, I've done no damage to the Rhino, taken none in return, and then over here we've started the fight. I've done nothing to the Commissar Lord, but the Commissar has gloriously intervened, and between them they've brought me down to 1 remaining wound. Now we now have the 2 Tauroxes to go. Can they finish him off? So they've got 3 attacks each, 2 hits, 2 wounds. I'm going to use your dice. So 3-up saves to keep him alive. And he's dead.
Roadkill.
Yeah, roadkill indeed. That says it all. Splashed on the front bonnet of a green Taurox. So that is the end of the first half of turn 6. So now it's the bottom half of turn 6. There's not a lot to do, but it's whether or not this thing pulls out and anything can shoot. Looking at it, there is a bit of a line of fire down through here. We'll see. Movement phase. So the Imperium vehicles are moving their way around just in case there's another turn. This Land Raider's driven back across, so both of these have got a clear line of sight down through to the last remaining Eldar forces, which are these Dire Avengers. So that's it for the movement. Let's see what happens as we go into shooting. Oh, psychics first. So at the end of, well, not even at the end of the shooting phase, the Dire Avengers have been cleared off. We had a smite, took out 2, then the Jakiro re-rolled to hits and did a dispersed shot and hit 4 times, killing another 2 or 3. Then the Cyber Eagle from Kotiaz did 6 rolls to hit, and you can see how it was going. So that is the end of the game. Epic handshake. I will come back in a second when we've tallied up what the points would have been if we were still alive. So that would have been 40 kill points to the forces of the Imperium and 21 to the forces of the Aeldari, and they didn't manage to quite pull off that Slay the Warlord at the end either. So that was a great game. That was epic. I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I didn't think it was going to turn out quite as severe a drubbing as it has been. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to sit down for a day or two because my backside has been well and truly kicked. But it was a great game nonetheless. So please remember, if you like what you've seen, subscribe, comment, tell your friends, and we'll see you soon.